Sacagawea was a Native American woman born in 1788 to the Agatica tribe of the Lemay Shoshone in what is now Idaho. When she was 12 years old, Sacagawea and some other girls were kidnapped by a group of Hidatsa Indians and taken to a village in North Dakota. She was sold to a French-Canadian fur trapper named Toussaint Charbonneau. Within a year, Sacagawea was pregnant. Soon after that, a ship arrived carrying Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, who were sent by President Jefferson to explore the new land he had bought, called the Louisiana Purchase. Lewis and Clark built Fort Mandan. They hired Toussaint and Sacagawea because they figured she would be able to help when they met Native Americans on their journey. As Clark wrote in his journal, "A woman with a party of men is a token of peace." Soon thereafter, Sacagawea gave birth to a boy, and he was named Jean-Baptiste. Clark called him Pompey. She carried Pompey on her back as the party forged into the wilderness. Besides helping to keep the peace when they encountered other Native Americans, Sacagawea helped to dig roots and plants for food and medicine, and she helped to collect berries. In 1805, the boat they were riding in capsized. Sacagawea dove into the water and rescued all the important papers and supplies, including medicines and the journals and records of Lewis and Clark. Today we learn about Sacagawea as a heroic guide and an interpreter, but there is more to the story. Join me in today's reading as we answer the question, who was the real Sacagawea? Let's warm up. This unit is entitled Explorers and Pioneers. Take a look at this image. What do you see here? Early European settlers moving across the land in wagons spread out across North America. Pioneers are people who explore new places or do things that have never been done before. Do you know about any famous pioneers? It's probably true that most of today's pioneers are exploring new ideas in science and technology. But historically, pioneers went to new lands or places. Do you think that soon in the future we will have more space pioneers? Who were the first people to live in your country? And who were the first to explore it? I am from America. The first people that lived in my country were the indigenous peoples. They were there before anybody else. The white man came many years later, but the indigenous people were there first. Time for today's main reading. Who was Sacagawea? Let's check out today's language targets. The real Sacagawea. Native American. Tribe. Along with on the way. Let's get started in paragraphs 1 and 2. There are more statues of her than of any other American woman. Her face is on a US coin. Clearly, she was an important person. But what do we know about the real Sacagawea? Sacagawea was part of a Native American tribe called the Shoshone. At the age of 13, she was taken away by people from the Hidatsa tribe. She was living among the Hidatsa when Meriwether Lewis and William Clark met her in 1804. Now, this paragraph is interesting because not all historical sources provide the same details about Sacagawea. For example, the information that I studied to make the introduction to this video told me that Sacagawea was kidnapped when she was 12 years old. But this paragraph says she was kidnapped when she was 13. By the way, when someone is kidnapped, they are taken by someone else and forced to go away from their home or family. Kidnapping is wrong. At any rate, today I will do my best to teach you what I know about the real Sacagawea. We have a few language targets in this paragraph. One is the real Sacagawea. Another is Native American. We also have the word tribe. First, let's look at the vocabulary word clearly. Clearly means plainly, in a way that is easy to see. Sacagawea was clearly an important person. Her face was on a US $1 coin. Can you name someone else who is clearly an important person? The real Sacagawea is the true, not the imagined Sacagawea. Because Sacagawea lived so long ago, it can be hard to know which pieces of information about her are facts and which are imaginary. To talk about the real Sacagawea, we have to try to find the facts about who she really was. And the best way to do this is to read the journal kept by William Clark. Here are some facts I found out about the real Sacagawea that I learned when I was reading parts of the journal. Sacagawea did not speak English. Because of this, she could not have acted as an interpreter for Lewis and Clark. She did help Lewis and Clark navigate on their expedition, and her presence was seen as a sign of peace to the tribes they visited. Sacagawea was very tough, and she remained calm in many difficult situations. For example, she became seriously ill while traveling. She also remained calm during a bear attack that happened on the trip. Let's practice. The real Sacagawea is the true Sacagawea, not the imagined Sacagawea. What do you know about the real Sacagawea? Native American means indigenous to North, Central, or South America. Native American is a broad term that refers to or talks about people who are indigenous to America. The word indigenous means first, original, or of the land. There are hundreds of different tribes or groups of Native American people. Native Americans are indigenous, and that means they were the first people on this land. Let's practice. What does Native American mean? The term Native American means indigenous to North, Central, and South America. Can you make a sentence with this language target? A tribe is a group of people who share the same language, culture, and history. There have been hundreds of Native American tribes in North America alone. Darwin St. Clair is a member of the Eastern Shoshone tribe. His grandfather, Chief Washki, was a wise and powerful leader of the Shoshone tribe. Chief Washki knew when to fight, but he also knew when to keep peace. In 1863, Chief Washki negotiated a treaty with the U.S. government that made sure his tribe would keep their land for generations to come. This treaty still stands, and the Shoshone tribe still resides on their land to this day. Let's practice. A tribe is a group of people who share the same language, culture, and history. How many Native American tribes can you name? Can you name any tribes from another land or country? The word among means with, in the middle of. Sacagawea was living among the Hidatsa in 1804. And this is a photograph of what the Hidatsa tribe in North Dakota looked like at that time. Can you imagine Sacagawea living among these people? Paragraphs 3 and 4. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark were map makers. These pioneers were exploring the western part of the U.S. Because Sacagawea spoke 2 different Native American languages, they asked her to travel with them, along with her husband and baby son. Sacagawea became an important part of the group, and helped the explorers in many ways. For example, on May 14, 1805, a strong storm tipped over one of their boats. Sacagawea stayed calm. She acted quickly and was able to save many of the maps and other things from the water. Her actions saved important knowledge from being lost. Wow, in these two paragraphs, we're learning about Sacagawea's character. We have several vocabulary words, along with the language target, along with. We also have a footnote. When something tips over, it turns and falls on its side. I bet you knew that. But when a boat tips over, we say that it capsizes. To travel means to go from one place to another. How far did Lewis and Clark travel? Remember, at that time, there were no automobiles. Most of this journey was made on foot. Along with means to accompany, but it can also mean to support or to agree with. Let me give you a few examples. To say Sacagawea traveled with Lewis and Clark along with her husband and son means she accompanied them. She went together with them. Here's another way you can use along with. I don't love Grandma's favorite new Christmas dance, but I'll go along with it for now. I might not totally agree with it, but I can support it in my way. Fufu goes along with her master for a daily walk in the park. Does piano go along with violin? What do you think? Everybody knows that noodles go along with soup. Let's practice. To go along with means to accompany, to support, or agree with. We went along with Grandma's dance, but will you go along with Grandpa's? The word calm means not showing or having strong feelings. Is your dog this calm at the vet? The word save means to keep safe or to rescue. The word save can be used as either a noun or a verb. For example, did you see that save? An action is something a person does. Sacagawea's actions saved important knowledge from being lost. And knowledge means facts or information that a person gets or learns. What knowledge have you gained this week? Well, you're gaining knowledge about the real Sacagawea right now, aren't you? Let's check out paragraphs 5 and 6. As they traveled, Sacagawea helped Lewis and Clark talk to the Native American people in each village they visited. She helped the explorers make friends among the Native Americans so they could trade with them. She also helped Lewis and Clark find a way across the mountains to the Pacific Ocean and helped them find food on the way. Sacagawea died when she was about 25. Sadly, we don't know much more about this amazing woman. But 200 years later, she is remembered as an important woman in U.S. history. Now, I found this interesting. Many sources say that Sacagawea interpreted for Lewis and Clark. In order to do that, she would have had to speak English. This paragraph says she helped Lewis and Clark talk to the Native American people in each village they visited. A slight difference, but an interesting one, don't you think? We have one vocabulary word in this paragraph and one language target, on the way. Let's look at the vocabulary first. A village is a small group of houses and buildings people live in. Sacagawea helped Lewis and Clark by talking to people at each village they visited. On the way means traveling to, in the middle of, or about to do something. Sacagawea was incredibly helpful on the way. This man is on the way out. Bye-bye. Is this turtle on the way home? We ordered our food over an hour ago, but it's still on the way. Can you see how this language target can mean traveling to, or in the middle of, or about to do something? Let's practice. Is this driver on the way to someplace special? Nice work. You finished the reading. Time for today's discussion questions. Who was the real Sacagawea? I'll let you answer this one first. This one is a little hard to answer. Sacagawea was an important person in U.S. history, but I think the best way to learn about Sacagawea, if you can, is to read the journals written by William Clark. They're available online if you're interested. How do you think Sacagawea's life would be different if she were alive today? That's another good question. Perhaps the easiest way to answer this one is to talk to or learn about people who belong to the Shoshone tribe, which can still be found in Idaho. I think probably one of the main reasons Sacagawea's life would be different today, aside from having access to modern technology, would be that she would probably be able to speak English. What do you think? How would Sacagawea's life be different if she were alive today? Do you think she would still be famous? Question 2. What does the term Native American mean or refer to? Do you remember? If you don't, go back and watch the portion of the video that discusses this language target. The term Native American can refer to people, but it can also refer to anything that comes from or is part of a tribe of people who are indigenous to America. And remember, indigenous means first, original, or of the land. Native American can refer to a culture, a type of food, a type of clothing, a type of music, or to a person or a language. It's a broad term. What people are native to the country where you live? Well, do you live in America? If so, I've already answered this question for you. If not, tell me the answer now. Let's take a look at today's critical thinking questions. Are you a member of a tribe? If not, how is your life probably different from the lives of tribal people? And the word tribal is an adjective that we use to describe people or things that belong to a tribe. Well, we know that a tribe is a group of people, right? In a way, I could say that I have a tribe. I belong to a family. I live very close to certain people, and we have our own way of doing things. You might even call it a culture. But a tribe is more than that. The culture and history of a tribe is usually very old. The family that I belong to is also probably much smaller than the tribe. Those are some pretty big differences. What do you think might be some benefits of belonging to a tribe? This one is hard for me to answer because I don't have a tribe, but I do admire the fact that tribes have a very rich culture and history. Tribal members share things and they depend on each other. Those are some serious benefits. What do you think? What are some of the great things about tribal life? Time for today's reading skill. Today's reading skill is creating a timeline of events. When you read a text that has a number of different events, it can be useful to put them on a timeline. This helps you understand the order in which the events happened. Look carefully at words that signal sequence, like then, after, soon, when, now, and once. But be careful, because events may not always appear in the passage in the order that they happened. So let's do a little practice now. Here we have several events from Sacagawea's life. The Hidatsa take Sacagawea from her tribe at age 13. 200 years ago, Sacagawea dies at about age 25. In 1805, Sacagawea saves maps and other items during a storm. Sacagawea lives among the Shoshone people during her childhood. She meets Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. Sacagawea helps Lewis and Clark reach the Pacific Ocean. And Sacagawea joins Lewis and Clark on their expedition. Now, even though these events are listed in A through G order, they are not listed chronologically. That means they are listed in this order, but they did not happen in this order. Let's create a timeline. You can see the node that marks the year 1804. We have 2 events that occur before 1804 and 5 events that occur after. I'll give you a minute to draw this timeline and write your answers A through G now. We'll check your answers in a minute. Get started! How'd you do? Let's check your answers now. Let's look at the event marked with the letter A. The Hidatsa take Sacagawea from her tribe at age 13. When did this occur? This happened before 1804. Did you get that one correct? Let's try the next one. Event B. About 200 years ago, Sacagawea dies at about age 25. When did this occur? The letter B would go into the last block on the timeline. Get it? How about event C? In 1805, Sacagawea saves maps and other items during a storm. This one's a little tricky, but if you read carefully, you'll know that event C goes here. Let's do the next one. Event D. Sacagawea lives among the Shoshone people during her childhood. This one's easy enough. The letter D goes in the very first block on the timeline. How about event E? Sacagawea meets Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. When did that occur? The letter E goes in the third block. How about F? Sacagawea helps Lewis and Clark reach the Pacific Ocean. The letter F goes here, in the second to last block on the timeline. And we have one event left. That's event G. Sacagawea joins Lewis and Clark on their expedition. Well, that goes here. The only two that might have been a little bit tricky for you if you were looking for your answers in the passage are events C and F. I happen to know that Sacagawea saved the maps in May of 1805, and she helped Lewis and Clark reach the Pacific Ocean in November. Time for today's homework. You guessed it. For today's homework, you'll be doing a timeline worksheet. But there's a twist. I want you to choose important events in the life of a person that you know or have read about. You could create a timeline about your mom. You could create a timeline about your friend.
That's nice.
If you wanted to, you could create a timeline about your friend's mom. Although that might be a little weird. You could choose to do this timeline on a historical person or a fictional person. It's up to you. Just make sure you record events and dates as they happened and in the right order. That's all for today's video.